Okay, should be recording. So my name is Jewel. I'm in your Com 101 class. Here is my note card. You can kind of see it, but there we go. All right, back and then there. Okay, cool. And let me show you my family. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. So I'm super nervous. Okay. All right. I'm gonna drink some water actually. Okay. So just to give you guys a heads up, this is an informative speech to tell you guys about stuff. Okay. So picture this. Imagine you're in the 1950s and you're an African American woman. You grew up with active segregation in restaurants and schools and faced daily discrimination due to your sex and your race. Years go by and you're now a wife and mother of 5, but something's wrong. Even months after your last child, you're still feeling abdominal pain and you're still having vaginal bleeding. You decide to make the 20-mile journey to Johns Hopkins Medical Center uh, in hopes that they'll treat you and they'll find out what's wrong. This is the story of Henrietta Lacks and how her immortal cells affect us all today. Henrietta Lacks, her immortal cervical cells were taken without her knowledge, used to greatly advance medical research, and aided in the development of multiple vaccinations. At Johns Hopkins Medical Center, Henrietta found that she had cervical cancer. In fact, it was unusually large and very aggressive for the stage she was at. She quickly began radium treatment under Dr. Howard Jones. In fact, according to Johns Hopkins Medicine, in their article titled The Legacy of Henrietta Lacks, a couple of her tissue samples were sent to a nearby lab under the name of Dr. Gregory Gaze. So Dr. Gay, funny name, okay, I know. Dr. Gay, he was actually a predominant cancer and virus researcher at the time. And he was collecting cervical tissue samples from all women at Johns Hopkins Hospital, no matter the race or ethnicity, But the article goes on to say, unlike any other sample that Dr. Gay collected, where the tissues were die near instantly, Henrietta's would actually double every 20 to 24 hours, unlike anything he had ever seen. This is why we call her cells immortal, because they double so quickly and continuously, in fact. We also call these cells HeLa cells. We named it after her. He from her first name, Henrietta, and La from her last name, Lacks. Henrietta Lacks cells, HeLa cells. According to North Shore Health Center, in their article titled Henrietta Lacks, Henrietta and her family had no idea her cells were taken and they were being used for the benefits that we have today, even years after the fact they were collected. Unfortunately, only after a couple months of her cancer diagnosis, she passed away in October of 1951. But her legacy didn't end with her. In 1953, HeLa cells, her immortal cells, were being mass produced to study viruses, cancers, toxins, and to show how they affect the human body without actually having to experiment on humans. According to the article, long title by the way, so bear with me, the article titled Paying Tribute to Henrietta Lacks at Tuskegee University and at Virginia Henrietta Lacks Commission. This article was written by Stephen Ofumum and Lauren Powell. In this article, they go on to mention that Tuskegee University was one of the few universities set to mass produce HeLa cells, and they actually distribute them to labs all over the world in order to study polio, along with other scientific research that we all benefit from today. Excuse me. Interesting fact. HeLa cells were actually sent up to space to study how zero gravity affects human cells. Crazy, but it happened. And you guys are probably aware, but HeLa cells were also used to study AIDS. I'm sure we all know what that is. So not only were her cells used for us to understand viruses, but they also gave us insight on how to combat them. In other words, her cells were used in order to create vaccinations. Most notably, HeLa cells were used to create the HPV vaccine. HPV stands for human papillomavirus. So HPV, if this vaccine had been discovered in time, it could have actually saved her life, as HPV is one of the leading causes for cervical cancer. In addition, according to the CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they state that HPV can cause other cancers, including cancer of the vulva, excuse me for the vulgarity, cancer of the vagina, the penis, along with oropharyngeal cancer. In addition, HeLa cells brought about the polio vaccine. I mentioned before how the cells were used to study it, but in 1955, the polio vaccination was actually created. In order to give you guys kind of a screenshot of how significant the polio vaccination was, the World Health Organization states that in 1957, polio cases went from 58,000 people all the way down to 5,600. Huge. 58,000 all the way down to about 6,000. Fast forward, in 1961, there was only 161 cases left in the world. So we went from 58,000 to 100, all due to this one vaccination that was created from HeLa cells, from Henrietta's cells. So moving on, HeLa cells are still being used today. Let's think back to 2019. Let's think back to 2019. What was that pandemic that we all experienced? COVID, that's right, COVID-19. Her cells are still being used today. And they helped us to make the COVID-19 vaccination along with all of its sequential boosters. So to summarize and wrap up kind of everything, today I shared with you guys how Henrietta Lacks' immortal cells were taken without her consent. They were used for scientific and medical research that we all benefit from today. And finally, how her cells were used to create the countless vaccinations, such as the HPV, polio, and COVID-19 vaccinations that saves thousands of lives every single year. HeLa cells were the first of its kind, and it really showed us how medicine could affect all of us worldwide, and it allowed for all of us to benefit from it. So no matter your race, sex, or ethnicity, we all owe a big thank you to Henrietta Lacks and her cells, along with her legacy that she left us. Thank you. Okay. Oh shit, I forgot. Wait, don't leave. Don't leave. Okay. Hold on. This is my family.
Go, Henrietta.
Whoa, Henrietta. Okay. HeLa. And then I gotta show my notes. Okay. There we go. Come on. Okay.
Her family.
Yeah, did she get money?
She didn't.
Actually,
I can't. The camera's not going off.